The headquarters building of Thompson Logistics, standing in the industrial district of suburban Chicago, showed a solid, if not glamorous, presence. The logistics company that Robert Thompson had started alone 30 years ago had now grown into a mid-sized enterprise with 150 employees. In the afternoon sunlight streaming through the windows, Emma was checking this month's sales reports at her desk in the sales department. Emma had been working at this company for 13 years now. Having joined right after college graduation, she started with sorting packages in the warehouse. Through days of working covered in sweat, she gradually built her career through managing delivery routes, customer service, and finally sales. She now served as sales manager, overseeing the department that handled 70% of the company's revenue. Her hands bore several small scars, old wounds from warehouse work and traces of oil stains from helping with truck repairs. Emma valued practice over theory and considered listening to voices from the field above all else. When employees had problems, they came to Emma first. When business partners discussed contracts, they always said, "Could you check with Emma?" Meanwhile, on the second floor in the executive office, her father Robert and mother Margaret were enthusiastically discussing new strategies. Robert served as CEO as the company's founder, while Margaret managed finances and human resources as vice president. Though both had succeeded as business people, they had been searching for new approaches to further grow the company in recent years. Bearing all their expectations was Emma's younger sister, Sophia. Having earned her MBA from the prestigious Northwestern University, Sophia had joined the company just 6 months ago but had already assumed the important position of strategic planning manager. Her innovative business theories and efficiency proposals had greatly impressed both parents. In contrast to Emma, Sophia always wore her suits perfectly and walked confidently through the office with the latest business books in hand. Her reform proposals were certainly theoretical and persuasive, and her presentations to investors were excellent. Both parents were proud of her talent and increasingly introduced her around the company as the future successor. However, the field employees' reactions were mixed. While Sophia's efficiency proposals were certainly attractive on paper, they tended to overlook the customer relationships built over many years and employee work satisfaction. Mike, the delivery team leader, had once confided to Emma in the break room, "The new manager's plans are certainly impressive, but does she really understand what we deal with in the field?" Emma felt conflicted. While acknowledging her sister's abilities, she increasingly questioned how her family evaluated her 13 years of effort. At family dinners, the conversation always centered on Sophia's latest proposals and achievements. Emma's daily sales activities and relationship building with customers were rarely discussed. Meanwhile, Emma's birthday was approaching. The annual party was scheduled to be held in the company conference room, inviting employees and business partners as usual. This year's preparations were proceeding the same way, but Emma had an uneasy feeling. Watching her parents' behavior lately, she couldn't shake the feeling that some major announcement was coming. On Monday morning, Emma arrived at work an hour earlier than other managers. This had been her habit for 13 years. In the quiet office, she would check the day's schedule and review the previous day's delivery reports. This time was also precious thinking time for her. At 8 o'clock, her sales department colleagues began arriving one by one. Amid greetings of "Good morning, Emma," and "Please take care of us today," Emma spoke to each person individually. Jennifer, a new sales representative, approached with a troubled expression. "Emma, about yesterday's Palmer Company matter, they're requesting a change in delivery time. How should I handle this?" Emma answered while reviewing the documents. "Palmer Company has been our client for 10 years. Their requests have reasons behind them. First, let's call their representative directly to understand the background. Then we'll think of the best solution together." Jennifer's expression brightened. Emma's careful guidance was highly valued among her subordinates. She never gave orders arbitrarily but always explained the reasoning and gave subordinates opportunities to think for themselves. At 10 o'clock, Emma's phone rang. It was Tom Wilson from Midwest Manufacturing, a long-standing business partner. "Emma, I have an urgent consultation. There's a problem with next week's large delivery. The usual route is blocked by construction. Do you have an alternative?" Emma answered while opening her planner. "Tom, don't worry. There's a detour route using state roads. It'll take a bit longer, but we can deliver reliably. However, we need to brief the drivers in advance, so let's finalize the details today." "That's just like you, Emma. Having you around really puts us at ease. Other companies wouldn't respond to emergencies like this." Tom's words made Emma smile. This trust relationship was Thompson Logistics' greatest asset. In the afternoon, Mike, the delivery team leader, came with a report. "Emma, this month's delivery efficiency improved by 8% compared to last month. That new route proposal is paying off." "That's wonderful, Mike. Please give my regards to the whole team. But safety first. Efficiency is important, but don't push too hard." Mike nodded. "I understand. Thanks to what you always tell us, the team's awareness is high too." However, around the same time on the second floor in strategic planning, Sophia was advancing company reforms with a completely different approach. Her desk was piled high with the latest business theory books and complex analytical data. "Dad, Mom, I have a new proposal," Sophia began her presentation to both parents in the executive office. "The current delivery system is inefficient. If we introduce an AI-powered automatic route optimization system, we can reduce costs by 30%. Robert's eyes lit up. "Wonderful. That's my daughter. What's the specific schedule?" "We'll start gradual implementation next month, aiming for full transition in 6 months. However, we also need to review current staffing. We should especially redefine middle management roles and change to a more efficient organizational structure." Margaret continued excitedly, "Sophia, your analysis is always accurate. I'm sorry to say this about Emma, but she might be too stuck in old ways." Sophia answered with a confident expression. "Experience is certainly valuable, but without database strategic thinking, we can't survive the competition. Using the latest management theories I learned in my MBA, the company can grow dramatically." Both parents were completely captivated by their daughter's proposal. However, field reactions were complex. Jim, a veteran driver in the delivery department, complained to Mike. "Listening to the new manager talk, I feel like we're being treated as just numbers. Emma is different. She sees us as human beings." Mike agreed. "That's right. Efficiency is important, but we'd like them to consider customer relationships and our work satisfaction too." As the week progressed, subtle changes began appearing in the company atmosphere. While expectations for Sophia's reform plans were rising at the executive level, field employees were beginning to feel anxious. Emma understood both positions but found fewer opportunities to express her opinions within the family. Friday evening, Emma was finishing her last sales report and preparing to go home when Sophia came to the sales department. "Sister, I need to talk to you about next week's birthday party." Emma stopped and turned around. "What about it?" "Actually, Dad and Mom plan to make an important announcement at the party. About the company's future." Anxiety crossed Emma's mind. "What kind of announcement?" Sophia smiled ambiguously. "That's a surprise for the day. But I think you'll be surprised too." That night, Emma sat alone in her apartment eating dinner, lost in thought. Her family's recent behavior, the subtle atmospheric changes at the company, and Sophia's meaningful words, everything seemed to point in one direction. Monday evening, Thompson Logistics conference room was decorated festively. Colorful balloons and a banner reading, "Happy Birthday Emma," hung from the ceiling, and a long table was beautifully arranged with food and cake. Emma's birthday party included not only company employees but also representatives from long-standing business partners. At 6 o'clock, the party began. Emma wore a modest navy blue dress and went around greeting each guest individually. Mike from the delivery team participated with his family, and sales department colleagues brought handmade presents. Business partner Tom Wilson rushed over with his wife and presented Emma with a heartfelt bouquet. "Emma, thanks to you, our business is stable." "Thank you so much," Tom said, and Emma responded with heartfelt gratitude. "Thank you too, Tom, for always trusting us." The venue was wrapped in a warm atmosphere. However, Emma occasionally watched her parents' behavior. Robert and Margaret were constantly consulting with Sophia about something, and all three looked excited. Sophia wore a new black suit with more careful makeup than usual, dressed as if facing an important business presentation. About an hour after the party started, Robert picked up a wine glass and tapped it lightly with a spoon. The venue changed from murmur to silence. "Everyone, thank you for gathering despite your busy schedules," Robert's voice resonated throughout the venue. "Today is a day to celebrate our daughter Emma's birthday, but actually, we have important news to share with you all." An unpleasant premonition crossed Emma's mind. The surrounding employees also listened with interest. "Margaret, please join me on stage," Robert extended his hand to his wife. The two headed toward a small podium set up at the front of the venue. Margaret's expression was also radiant. "Everyone, we have a special announcement today," Margaret continued in a bright voice. "We'd like to announce an important decision about our company's future." Emma felt cold sweat running down her back. Her colleagues around her watched both parents with expectant expressions. First, Robert raised his voice, "I'm announcing that our daughter Sophia will assume the position of new CEO starting next month." A murmur of surprise spread through the venue. Sophia walked up to both parents with a beaming smile. Emma remained seated, staring at the stage in disbelief. Sophia earned her MBA from a prestigious university and is well-versed in the latest management theories, Margaret continued proudly. "Under her leadership, our company will enter a new growth phase." The applause in the venue was sparse. Employees couldn't hide their confused expressions. Mike from the delivery team clearly showed bewilderment. However, the parents' announcement didn't end there. Robert spoke again. "And to improve organizational efficiency, we will be reviewing some management positions." Severity was added to his voice. "Emma, I'm sorry, but we need you to leave the company." Shocking silence fell over the venue. Emma couldn't believe her ears. She had never imagined being fired at her own birthday party. "What?" Emma's voice was small and trembling. Margaret added apologetically, "Emma, we're truly grateful to you. But thinking of the company's future, we need new blood." Sophia stepped forward. Victory colored her expression. "I have an MBA. I studied the latest management theories." Sophia's voice carried clear superiority. "The company needs theoretical, strategic thinking. You can't win competition with emotional arguments." Emma quietly stood up. Everyone in the venue was staring at her. The employees' faces showed expressions mixing surprise and anger. "I understand," Emma's voice was surprisingly calm. "Emma," Mike started to stand up, but Emma waved her hand slightly to stop him. "Everyone, thank you for your hard work," Emma said, looking around the venue. "It's been enjoyable working together for so long." Business partner Tom stood up with an indignant expression. "This is terrible. If Emma leaves, what happens to our contracts?" Other business partner representatives began murmuring too. However, Robert answered with a confident expression. Don't worry. Sophia will take over everything. She should be able to provide more efficient and strategic service. Emma picked up her handbag and headed toward the venue exit. Only her footsteps echoed in the silence. When she put her hand on the door, she said without turning around. Thank you for the wonderful birthday present. After Emma left the venue, voices of heated discussion could be heard shortly after. Voices of employees and business partners confronting both parents and Sophia could be heard all the way to the hallway. I can't believe you're firing Emma. If she's gone, what happens to our contracts? Is an MBA really that important? Emma walked toward her car in the company parking lot, taking a deep breath. 13 years of memories had become the past in an instant. However, strangely, her heart felt light, as if she had been freed from pressure she had felt for a long time. While starting her car engine, Emma smiled slightly. She already had a plan. Immediately after Emma left the venue, the party atmosphere completely changed. Heavy silence fell among the employees, followed by angry voices rising one after another. Mike, the delivery team leader, was the first to speak up. This is too terrible. Don't you realize how much Emma has worked for this company? Jennifer, a sales colleague, also stood up. Emma is our benefactor. Without her, I don't know where I'd be now. Business partner Tom Wilson couldn't hide his anger. Robert, you're making a big mistake. Without Emma, we can't continue our contract. Other business partner representatives agreed. We've been doing business with this company because we trust Emma. Without knowing what the new CEO is like, it's impossible to continue contracts under the same conditions. Robert tried to hide his agitation, but his voice lacked confidence. Everyone, Sophia is excellent. With her MBA knowledge. Who cares about an MBA? Veteran driver Jim interrupted. What we need is a leader who understands the field. Emma listened to us. When there were problems, she solved them with us. Sophia tried to argue with a confused expression. Look at my reform plans. Efficiency improvements will definitely increase company profits. Profit alone isn't enough, Mike answered in a stern tone. Trust relationships with customers, teamwork among employees, profit comes from those things. The atmosphere in the venue became increasingly hostile. Employees began leaving their seats one by one. Jennifer said to Margaret, I'm sorry, but I'm also resigning. Without Emma, there's no point in working at this company. Me too. Same here. Us too. Voices declaring resignation rose one after another. Mike said finally. Do you really think this company can function without Emma? You'll learn the reality starting tomorrow. The next day, Tuesday, Thompson Logistics fell into chaos. More than half the sales department didn't come to work, and 2/3 of the delivery team were absent. The remaining employees also had low morale and couldn't even handle routine operations satisfactorily. Sophia was frantically trying to respond, but without field experience, she found it difficult even to manage daily operations. When customer inquiry calls kept ringing, she couldn't answer appropriately. About that matter, Sophia was at a loss on the phone. I'll check and contact you later. However, she didn't know how to check. Much of the customer information and delivery route details that Emma had built up over the years were in her head and not documented. By Wednesday, the situation worsened further. Contract cancellation notices arrived one after another from major business partners. When Robert answered a call from Tom Wilson, harsh words awaited him. Robert, I haven't gotten proper responses since yesterday. The promised deliveries are also delayed. We can't maintain trust relationships like this. Tom, give me a little time. Until the new system gets on track. Sorry, but I've already decided. We'll switch to another company starting next month. If there's a company where Emma works, we'd like to contract with them. Thursday and Friday, the situation didn't improve but continued worsening. Company sales dropped dramatically, and anxiety spread among the remaining employees. Sophia stayed at the company until late every day, desperately trying to understand the situation, but was only dismayed by the gap between theory and reality. Dad, Mom, this is more serious than we anticipated, Sophia reported to both parents in the executive office. Mass employee resignations, business partner contract cancellations, and I don't understand field operations well. Robert's face was pale. I never thought it would be this bad. Margaret couldn't hide her anxiety either. I never realized Emma was such an important presence. Over the weekend, the three continued serious discussions about the company's future. The financial situation was critical. At this rate, even the company's survival was in danger. We have no choice but to ask Emma to come back, Robert finally said. But after what we did to her, would she come back? Margaret's voice was tearful. We have to try. Sophia also admitted her limitations for the first time. I can't save this company alone. Monday morning, Robert, Margaret, and Sophia stood in front of a high-rise building in downtown Chicago. It was the building housing the office of the new company Emma had established, Emma Logistics Solutions. Taking the elevator to the 15th floor, they found a sophisticated office. At the reception was a familiar face, Jennifer, formerly from Thompson Logistics Sales Department. Robert said in a trembling voice, could we see Emma? Jennifer answered with a cold expression. President Emma is very busy, but what is your business? Please, Margaret said with tears in her eyes. Let us talk to our daughter. Please wait a moment. After a while, Emma appeared. She had a more confident expression than before and wore a high-quality suit. Thank you for your hard work, Emma's voice was polite but felt distant. What is your business? Robert and Margaret slowly knelt down in front of their daughter. Other employees in the office watched in surprise. Emma, forgive us, Robert's voice trembled. We made a big mistake. Please, Margaret also pleaded tearfully. Come back to the company. We can't do anything without you. Emma maintained long silence while looking down at both parents. Employees in the office also held their breath watching. Eventually, Emma quietly spoke. Please stand up. Robert and Margaret slowly stood up. Emma opened the door to a conference room and said, Let's talk. The four sat facing each other in the conference room. Emma began speaking calmly. I didn't establish this company for revenge. I wanted to create a company that values employees and business partners, using what I learned over 13 years. Robert bowed his head. Emma, I'm truly sorry. I realized how important you were only after losing you. We emphasized education and theory too much and lost sight of what's most important, Margaret continued tearfully. We undervalued your character and effort. Sophia bowed her head honestly to her sister for the first time. Sister, I was arrogant. I learned that MBA knowledge alone can't accomplish anything. Please teach me the importance of field experience and trust relationships with people. Emma softened her expression slightly. Sophia, your theoretical knowledge certainly has value. You just need to combine it with field realities. Could you give us one more chance? Robert pleaded. Emma answered thoughtfully. I have conditions. First, treat employees as human beings, not numbers. Second, value trust relationships with business partners above all. Finally, listen to voices from the field. We accept everything, the three said in unison. Also, Emma smiled, I'll continue my current company. However, it's possible to form a partnership with Thompson Logistics. We could leverage each other's strengths. 3 months later, the two companies formed a business alliance, and Emma began working as a consultant at her former company 2 days a week. Sophia accumulated field training and established a new leadership style combining theory and practice. One evening, Emma was looking out the window from her office. Mike came with a report. Emma, this month is going smoothly too. The cooperation with the former company is also working well. Thank you, Mike. It's thanks to everyone. Emma, Mike continued with a serious expression, when everyone followed you that time, it wasn't for money. It was because you treated us like family. Emma smiled from her heart. I'm the one supported by all of you. True family might not be blood relations, but bonds of trusting and supporting each other. The setting sun shone through the office window, warmly illuminating Emma's expression. Though what she lost on her 35th birthday was significant, she had found something even more precious. Emma learned firsthand that true success lies not in numbers or titles but in trust relationships with people.